Snake eyes on the clock. This Texans game is over. So join me on the field, in the locker room, in the tunnels, wherever, post-game, along with my good pal John Harris, the radio sideline reporter, as we break down a little bit of what just happened with your Texans in today's game. And please, take a moment to like, subscribe, and review this podcast. There's nothing else like it. Nobody else is on the field post-game like this covering your Texans. Here we go. All right, this is a tough one. Texans fall on the road 15-13. How disappointing is today?
Very. I will not put this one on the defense at all. This one, last drive. This thing should have been 23-12 on that final drive, and there should have never been any issue. But offense just today really didn't hold up its end of the bargain, to be honest. Five passes were batted down. Couldn't make big throws down the field. The run game was spotty. When they got a big run, it was because Dameon Pierce made Brian Burns miss in the backfield. It just was disjointed very much so offensively. And that's a shame because, we're about to fly home after this one and just kicking ourselves at, 3-4. We lost 2 games now on the final, field goals. The one in Atlanta, I felt like Desmond Ridder played his guts out. Not going to say Bryce Young did, but I feel like Desmond Ridder did everything he possibly could. And I felt like the offense did slug back in that Atlanta game. Today, I felt like the offense was just not slugging back for whatever reason. And Carolina played a solid ball game. Having Burns and Vuvu on the field, they were questionable coming in, but they were prime playmakers and just did things that were not very Texans-like. So now you got to trudge back uphill at 3-4, try and get this thing back going against a really good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team at home.
Yeah, massive bummer. What do you think was going on offensively? We saw Jared Patterson leave with an injury, but before that, things weren't clicking all the way as far as Stroud having time at time. I mean, what did you see that kind of threw things off in your mind?
Well, I feel like Ishiro Evero called a really good game for Carolina. Start there and give credit where it's deserved. I feel like he called a really good game against the Texans. They're just, they were very quick in the passing lanes. The linebackers were very quick. They made some, knockdown. Luvo had 1 or 2 knockdowns where he was kind of rushing and kind of not, and he just knew to get his hands up, kind of knew where the Texans were going to throw the football. This is also a day they didn't get Dalton Schultz involved a lot, and I thought they would do that. They really didn't get him involved a lot. They couldn't get the boots or the keepers really working, and they had really no explosives. Tank had a couple of nice runs, made a couple of guys miss, and that really kind of got things going, but they just couldn't get anything down the field at all. There's just nothing down the field. I think it looked a little disjointed in the offensive line. There's one play they ran where it looked like the left side of the line, Laramie and Titus, they looked like confused, like they were blocking one play and there was another play. The throw to Noah Brown that got called back for, I think it was Noah, maybe it was Nico. It got called back
it was Noah.
A man downfield. Like there was no reason for a man to be downfield. That made no sense. So there's just kind of some weird, odd things that happened today, and unfortunately, it's gonna, put the Texans at 3-4. And I'm trying to, Drew. I'm trying to, come to grips with it. It's hard because that's a team you should have beaten. I mean, 8 out of 10 times you probably beat them, but you play them at their place, and you allowed them to be in the game. Once they got in the game, you got to stop on the goal line. You're like, okay, like this is it. They're gonna fold it. They never folded. I give them credit for that. They played hard, made the plays when they needed to. Bryce Young made the plays when he needed to. And I don't want to hear anything about that dude being small because that guy's got the heart as big as a stadium. And he was the major reason that they're going home with their first win of the year.
No doubt. You're about to get on the bus here to leave for the airport, but that defense sacked him 6 times and made life hard for him. And he stays on for that final possession. I mean, what did you see defensively? Actually, let's rewind. What did you see that gives you hope? I mean, you lose by a field goal as time ticks off the clock. Surely there were some things that went in your favor that went well for you today. And I'm not just talking about Cam Johnson and his 6 punts, 4 of which were inside the 20, one of which is the longest punt in franchise history.
Yeah, I thought Cam was going to be my player of the game, Drew. I mean, I really did. He was phenomenal. But I mean, look, the defense was able to get a ton of pressure in it, and I think they ended up with 15 points, and they ended up with I think 10 where off the field on 3rd down, and there's a holding call down the field. 3rd and 19, we're holding. And then there was one where John Grenard just happened to get the face mask of Bryce Young. that's a sack. You're off the field if you just don't grab the face mask, which I know is easier said than done. But you know, he had 6 sacks. You were all over Bryce. But Bryce didn't stop. But you had 1 turnover that turned into a field goal. You know, the defense did everything possible today that it could, and gave up 15 points. You know, offense is going to have better days, that's for sure. Just today was not one of them.
All right, John, you got to get on the bus to fly back to Houston. Good to talk with you. Let's do this again. We'll recoup, we'll regroup, get back together on Tuesday, do it in the lab. But until then, man, safe travels home. Yeah, Texans drop this one, 15-13.
All right, brother.